Hi, I'm Amanda Shekarchi, and I am in studio with Toronto singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and visual artist Avi C. Engel. Their album, Nocturne Soundtrack for an Invisible Film, is available via Bandcamp. Avi also has an art display at Raid Gallery on Queen Street West in Toronto, running from now until April 18th. I will provide all the information about that at the end of the interview. Avi, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so there is an exhibit happening featuring your work. What is the inspiration behind this collection?
It's actually the first time that I've shown original artwork rather than prints. It's like I've been doing visual art for a long time, so I don't know about inspiration. I'm just always making art. So it's the first time I've opened my sketchbook and just shown a whole bunch of original pieces.
That's so cool. How did you get involved with this?
I walked into the gallery one day and I said, "I'm an artist. Do you want to show my work?" It's the first time I've ever done that.
How would you describe these pieces?
They're very organic. They're kind of there's a lot of branches and roots and or little strange animals that kind of come into being. When I start drawing, I don't usually know what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. It just kind of organically develops.
Yeah, what would you say the theme of this collection is?
Well, I called it SPOROPHORE, which means the fruiting body of a mushroom. So if I had to pick one theme, it would be wriggling and alive.
Nice.
But that's today. Tomorrow, if you ask me, I might say something else.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who are some visual artists that inspired your work?
I like Tove Jansson. Have you ever read Moomin Troll?
No, I haven't.
I would recommend it. I like Mervyn Peake, who illustrated and also wrote Gormenghast. I like Leonora Carrington, the surrealist artist. And I like this artist, Bill Traylor, who was a self-taught folk artist. Those are four that spring to mind right now.
Love it. So you have experience with a variety of art forms. I'm interested in how poetry influenced your passion for creating.
When I was a little kid, my mother read poetry with me, and it was probably one of my biggest formative experiences. So I always knew poetry existed. I never had to discover it for myself. So my songs actually started with poetry and then became songs. And I learned to play the guitar.
Yeah, that's really cool. So poetry is a medium that I would love to get into more. Where should I start?
Oh, that's a big question. It really depends what your literary tastes are. I don't know, what are your interests in terms of there's so much different poetry out there.
Yeah, I definitely love when you kind of analyze, because I love music, so kind of, something that's kind of very similar to kind of song forms, I guess.
So you like something with a rhyme and a meter?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my first loves, which maybe is embarrassing, I don't know, is Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yeah. Love it. So I
have one other, I just thought of one.
Yes.
Theodore Roethke is actually a big influence, and I think you might. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have actually set his work to music. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so I also want to talk about your music. How was the experience self-producing your latest album? And I heard that you used some interesting instruments to add layers and textures.
I started recording myself about 5 years ago. Before that, I mostly worked in studios. And I kind of just learn as I go. I just try things. It's like a painter just throwing things at a wall and seeing what works in terms of recording. And with this album, I used one microphone for everything, even though the microphone's only supposed to be used for drums. I just started liking how it picked up other sounds as well. So I think the microphone's an interesting part of the story. I play the gudok, which is a 3-string Slavic instrument. I play 4-string and 6-string guitars. I'm trying to remember what else I played on. I think I played the talharpa a bit, which is also a bowed instrument. And I like hitting wooden objects with mallets and also my hands to get percussion.
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely something I definitely heard when I was listening. I thought the percussion sound was pretty cool. So one of my favorite tracks is Into the Golden Void. What is the inspiration behind it?
That one was a pure improvised mantra kind of. It was actually, I was reading Gormenghast by Mervyn Peake, and there's a line into the something darkness, into the golden void. I'd have to find it. But I just started repeating that line, and the other lines kind of flowed out of there. It started with the chords and then the words. And then I don't know if you heard, like, there's another melody at the end that comes in.
Yes.
That was just, I love interlocking melodies.
Yeah,
So that was also
really
very
cool.
spontaneous. And thank you.
Yeah, I thought it added a nice dynamic to the track.
It kind of changes the mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So another track I want to talk about is Bones Beguiling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's this lyric that I like that thought was cool. So soldiers with heads of wolves haunt the shore at sundown. What's the meaning behind that one?
I feel like your interpretation might be as good as mine on that. It was sometimes I feel like I'm almost making, and you picked up on this actually when we spoke before, like making a film
Mm-hmm.
in the song. So I'm painting imagery, and I don't always know what it means, but I can see it in my mind's eye. Did it evoke a mood for you, that line?
Totally, yeah. I think it like just kind of the idea of like, the soldier and the wolves, like the kind of the contrasting themes there. I thought to me like that was very much like definitely like a darker kind of imagery comes to mind a little bit.
Yeah, it also makes me think of the surrealist painter that I mentioned, Leonora Carrington. She has like wolf-headed people in some of her writing, and that really influenced me.
Yeah, and the production of that song I think really stood out to me as well, especially how the vocals are kind of forefront there.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I did a double-tracked vocal on that one.
Nice. So what do you want the listeners to take away from this album?
I never really have like a prescription. Like if you can find your own way into it and it means something to you. And I was having a pretty rough time when I was recording this album. I was having very bad insomnia and anxiety. So it was a way of kind of grounding myself to make the recording. So if it's possible for other people to feel grounded by listening to it, that's probably the biggest compliment I could get. And one person said that. So.
I definitely agree. It's a very relaxing, very meditative piece to look like. And one more question about the album that comes to mind is, tell me about the name, the title, Nocturne Soundtrack for an Invisible Film. Why that title?
It was first just called Nocturne, and I felt like it wasn't enough. Like it needed a bit of elaboration. At first I was saying imaginary film, but that's already been used, like by other people, I think. I just like the sort of seemingly contradictory nature of invisible film, but I don't think it's contradictory because I think music kind of can be an invisible film.
I know you've been in the industry for many years, so what has changed in the music industry since you've been involved that has been beneficial to you?
Well, maybe the fact that I can record myself more easily than when I first started, because I was a lot younger when I started, and I was very intimidated by gear and studios and everything, and it was really expensive. So that's one thing that's improved a lot, like being able to just get some decent mics and record myself. In terms of streaming, I'm not a fan of the way that has gone, because it's a lot harder for artists.
Where can people find you?
People can find me on Bandcamp. That's the best place to find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Avi, for being here. The album Nocturne Soundtrack for an Invisible Film is out now. Also, if you're in Toronto, go check out the collection of Avi's art at the Raid Gallery, located at 1720 Queen Street West in Toronto. The gallery is free, and there's also a cafe there, so feel free to grab a drink and some food and explore. And yeah, it was great having you here, Avi.
It's great to be here. Thank you.